Hello, and welcome to my walkthrough of the History Channel's Civil War, A Nation Divided. I'm going to be playing through the battles in this game in the order that they actually took place during the Civil War. Not necessarily the order you'd play in this game. The second battle they gave us was the Battle of Shiloh.
Spring of 1862. General McClellan refuses to fight with his enormous Army of the Potomac. But General Ulysses S. Grant is anything but timid. He camps on the west side of the Tennessee River at Pittsburgh Landing. Across from him, Sidney Johnston masses his troops in Corinth and plans a surprise attack. Grant's large encampment, 42 kilometers in size, is not properly defended. In the early morning, commanding an equal force of raw recruits, Confederate General Johnston knows he has to stop Grant now before reinforcements arrive. But before the battle is about to begin, a small group of soldiers is about to infiltrate the enemy's positions.
Listen up, soldier. You will slip into the center of the Union camp, eliminating all obstacles as you go. That means slitting throats. You will steal into the general's tent and procure strategic documents. You click, you will then sabotage their survey balloon, and on your way out, destroy the enemy's ammo depot. You will avoid all lighted areas. A platoon of men should be doing this. You're all I've got. Now don't let me down, son.
Now, I think this level here is actually really interesting. I like what the History Channel and Activision did with this. The Battle of Shiloh was full of some really controversial decision-making by its generals on both sides. This was actually the first battle of the Civil War to take place on a scale that was to become commonplace. 20,000 soldiers killed and wounded. And that was going to become commonplace. The Union soldiers were camped out at Pittsburgh Landing in Tennessee, and for whatever reason, they thought, they were really comfortable thinking that the nearest Confederate soldiers were miles away from them. And that's unusual because they were deep in enemy territory. They are in southwest Tennessee right here, almost to Mississippi. So needless to say, there were 40,000 Confederate soldiers planning a surprise attack on them, and they were completely unprepared. I mean, they were not ready for this at all. Now, before we go back in that direction, right over here is your first secret area. The only thing in it is a med pack, but getting the secret areas will improve your score. The Union soldiers were so confident in this because the very first decisive battle that the Union had won in the war was the Battle of Fort Donelson. So they were coming right off of that and feeling really good about themselves, and maybe that's why they'd let their guard down. But needless to say, when the Confederate Army opened fire on them, they just decimated the Union soldiers and forced them back all the way to the Tennessee River. And they had them on the run. The Union soldiers had expected to launch an attack at Corinth in Mississippi, which was 20 miles south of their current location here. Now, you have a Colt revolver here that you can use, and it's actually what they start you with. And these other rifles, like this is the Springfield rifle again that we used in the last level. It's only got one shot and takes a really long time to load, but does a lot of damage. Even from, 300 to 500 yards away, it does a lot of damage. And I like to use these muskets as much as possible because if you use the revolver, it does very light damage in this game, and it will take you 2, most of the time 3 shots to take down one soldier. And it also takes a while to reload. Now when the Union soldiers were falling back, they formed a line on an old wagon road. And it wasn't a sunken wagon road, and a lot of historical sources would lead you to believe that it was a sunken road and they had good cover. They really didn't. It was just an old wagon road. It eventually would go on to become the Hornet's Nest. They formed a line, and they held that line for 7 hours. Which is really impressive considering the force that was in front of them. 40,000 Confederate soldiers. That's really impressive. And it's not that they didn't go without their share of casualties. As a matter of fact, a lot of Union soldiers had to be carried back to a makeshift hospital, which was set up strictly for amputations. I mean, arms and legs were just piled up by the dozens because of the .58 caliber mini balls that did so much damage. There was no repairing these limbs. Even today, we couldn't repair the damage done by these bullets. And this is a great rifle too. It loads actually a lot faster than the Springfield rifle does. It just doesn't do as much damage from far away. Right inside here is the secret document we were supposed to take. Now, like I said, the Union soldiers held that line for 7 hours. What the Confederacy did was they brought in over 50 cannons. This is what finally broke the line. They brought in 50 cannons and just blew the Union line to pieces. And that was at the end of the night on April 6th. This level in this game says April 7th, so this is in the middle of the night. And even though technically the Union is remembered for winning this battle, we're playing as the Confederacy here. Probably because, I'm thinking anyway, at this particular point in the battle, the Confederacy had believed that they had already won. They were winning this battle. They thought it was already over. That led to the second really controversial decision. Now, instead of advancing on the Union Army, General Beauregard had decided to rest his men and loot the Union camp, and they actually ate really well that night. They looted the Union camp, ate really well, and decided that they were going to drive out any remaining Union soldiers the next morning, not knowing that General Grant was receiving reinforcements from the Army of Ohio. And, just another... It was a bad decision. Now, right up here, you can see that balloon. These balloons during the Civil War were used for reconnaissance. And we're sabotaging Union balloons here, but actually the Confederacy used these quite a bit. These were spy balloons. You could go up and you could see the enemy coming for miles. So that's what we're doing here. As soon as we put him down. Alright, there we go. Now again, General Grant had received reinforcements overnight. The next morning, they planned a surprise attack of their own. They ambushed the Confederacy and, again, just blew them to pieces. The Confederacy was not expecting that at all, and it was just too many. It was too much, and they retreated, leading to the third really controversial decision. Instead of advancing on the Confederacy, the Union soldiers had decided to let them escape, to let them get away. This had been a long battle with a lot of casualties, and they decided to let them go, and they retreated all the way back to Mississippi. They could have captured 5,000 prisoners, but instead they let them go. But again, like I said, really controversial decision-making by its generals on both sides. Now coming up over here, you duck behind these tents. This is your next secret area. This one has got the hidden document for this level in it. And just like the last one, this is another photograph. So that's actually all of the hidden stuff that we need to find. And now all we have to do is make our way to the end. That's all we've got to do. Right there you can see the barrel, just like in the last level that we did. You go up, you ignite it, and then run. Now I'm running to the left, even though I'm running straight into Union fire because that thing is about to blow. And there we go.
Jeff Davis gonna give you a medal for that, I guess. Now let's get on out to the boats.
And there really isn't that much left. We have a couple waves of Union soldiers to get through, 3 or 4 at a time. Which again would go faster, but the artillery that we're using only has 1 shot. And, unlike in a lot of other levels, you actually have help. He just stood there and waited for it. That's unusual. Didn't charge, didn't shoot. That's kind of strange. But we're full on ammo, and the way out is right around the corner. You get back to the dock. I really think this is fantastic, what they did with this level. It takes place in the middle of the night, during this 2-day battle. And instead of having you play as the Union, who won this battle, they put it right in the middle and we're playing as the Confederacy. Now, again, really controversial decision making. Why had the Union left themselves so vulnerable to a surprise attack in the first place when they were so deep in enemy territory? Why had the Confederates not finished off the Union when they had the chance in the middle of the night? Why had the Union allowed the Confederates to escape at the end? And no one suspected that 3 more years of such bloodshed remained in the war, and that 8 larger and bloodier battles were yet to come.
Retreats to the Tennessee River. They hold that position as a dozen massive assaults are launched and 62 cannons blaze away. Confident of a total Southern victory, General Beauregard is shocked to face 72,000 enemy soldiers the next morning, as Buell has arrived the night before with reinforcements. Grant takes the field and forces the South to withdraw after a murderous engagement. All in all, after 2 days of fighting, there are 23,000 casualties, more than in all previous American wars combined. The costly Union victory shakes the divided nation to its very core. The war is a calamity that will require more bloodshed and sacrifice than anyone could have ever imagined. For Grant, the victory only steels his determination. The way to the South is now open.